The shortest distance between any 2 points on a plane is a line. In the lesson for today, we're going to find the distance between 2 points on a number line. In order to do this, we'll have to use the absolute value of the difference of the 2 points. The absolute value of 7/8 minus 2 and 5/6 will give us the distance between the 2 points. Notice that these two denominators are not like, so we're going to factor out a 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, 6 divided by 2 is 3. Since 4 and 3 are relatively prime, 2 is our GCF. We'll multiply the fraction with a denominator of 8, top and bottom by 3, and a fraction with a denominator of 6, top and bottom by 4, giving us our lowest common denominator of 24. 3 times 7 is 21 over 24. 5 times 4 is minus 2 and 24ths. Notice that the absolute value of 21 over 24 is less than the absolute value of a minus 2 and 24ths. So what we'll do is we'll write the opposite, similar to our previous lesson, but we just don't have to write the opposite of the opposite. We just have to write the opposite to make the subtraction easier. Since 20 is smaller than 21, we'll borrow from the 2, and we'll add 24/24 to the 20 over 24. 44 minus 21 is 23. So we'll have the absolute value of 1 and 23/24, which is 1 and 23/24. Another way we can do this is, instead of writing the opposite, we can rewrite the second rational number as an improper fraction. Round and round we go. 2 times 24 plus 20 is 68. We're going to have 21 minus 68 all over 24. 21 minus 68 is negative 47 over 24. The absolute value of negative 47 over 24 is 47 over 24, which is 1 and 23/24. You can always divide to see how we arrived at this answer. 24 goes into 47 one time. 1 times 24 is 24. When we subtract, we have 23, and our remainder will be the numerator of our divisor. A learning objective is, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to find the distance between two rational numbers on the number line by using absolute value of their difference. Our essential question is, how is finding the difference of two numbers related to finding the distance between two numbers on the number line? The rule of postulate states the points on a line can be put into a one-to-one correspondence with the real numbers, as illustrated on the right. The distance between 2 points on a number line is the absolute value of the difference of their coordinates. If we're trying to find distance between point A and point B, all we have to do is find the absolute value of A minus B, or the absolute value of B minus A. In our first example, we're trying to find the distance between A and C. Since the coordinate of A is negative 10 and the coordinate of C is 0, we can say that AC is equal to negative 10 minus 0, or 0 minus a negative 10. The order in which we subtract doesn't matter because distance is always non-negative. The distance you travel from home to school is the same from school to home. Negative 10 minus 0 is negative 10, and the absolute value of negative 10 is 10. 0 minus a negative 10 is 0 plus 10. 0 plus 10 is 10, and the absolute value of 10 is 10. You may want to pause to try the next example. We can say the distance between point B and E is equal to the absolute value of negative 5 minus 10, or the absolute value of 10 minus a negative 5. Negative 5 minus 10 is negative 15, and the absolute value of negative 15 is 15. 10 minus a negative 5 is 10 plus 5. 10 plus 5 is 15, and the absolute value of 15 is 15. What is the distance between the two numbers on the number line? We'll have to use the absolute value of the difference of the two numbers, which is the absolute value of negative 1 and 7/16 minus 2 and 1/6. Since the two rational numbers are not like, we'll first factor out a 2. 2 goes into 16 8 times, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. Since 8 and 3 are relatively prime, we know that 2 is our greatest common factor. The fraction with a denominator 16 will multiply the top and bottom by 3. The fraction with a denominator 6 will multiply the top and bottom by 8. Giving us our lowest common denominator of 48. 3 times 7 is 21, and 3 times 16 is 48, giving us negative 1 and 21/48. 1 times 8 is 8, and 6 times 8 is 48, giving us minus 2 and 8/48. Since we have a negative minus a number, we'll add, giving us negative 3 and 29/48. The absolute value of negative 3 and 29/48 is 3 and 29/48. Another way of finding the distance between these 2 points is by finding the absolute value of 2 and 1/6 minus negative 1 and 7/16. We'll turn these into like fractions again. Minus a negative is a plus. 8 plus 21 is 29, and 1 plus 2 is 3. The absolute value of 3 and 29/48 is 3 and 29/48. When we're trying to find the distance between 2 points on a number line, it's very similar to the lesson on subtracting rationals with negatives. The only difference is when we write the opposite of the opposite, you cannot have this negative down because we're dealing with absolute values, and absolute values are always non-negative. Since we have unlike fractions, we'll factor out a 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Since 4 and 5 are relatively prime, we know that 3 is our GCF. And a fraction with a denominator of 12 will be multiplied top and bottom by 5. And the fraction with a denominator of 15 will be multiplied top and bottom by 4, giving us 25 over 60 and 16 over 60. 25 minus 16 is 9 over 60. 12 minus 7 is 5. Since this is not in simplest form, we'll be able to factor out a 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 60 divided by 3 is 20. Giving us our final answer is 5 and 3/20. In order to find the distance between 7/8 and negative 2 and 5/6, we're going to have to find the absolute value of the difference between the 2 points. This will give us the absolute value of 7/8 minus a negative 2 and 5/6. We're going to factor out a 2 since the denominators are not the same. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 and 3 are relatively prime, making 2 our GCF. The fraction that has a denominator of 8, we're going to multiply the top and bottom by 3. And the fraction with a denominator of 6, we're going to multiply the top and bottom by 4, giving us a lowest common denominator of 24. 3 times 7 is 21, and 3 times 8 is 24. Minus a negative is a plus. 5 times 4 is 20, and 6 times 4 is 24. Now, since we have the same denominator, we can add our numerators, and we get 41 over 24, and 2 plus 0 is 2. This is an improper mixed number. We'll have 3 and 17/24. We could always divide to see how we arrived at our answer. 24 goes into 41 one time. 1 times 24 is 24. When we subtract, we're left with 17. Our remainder is our numerator of our divisor. Another way we can solve this problem is by writing negative 2 and 5/6 minus 7/8 and finding the absolute value of it. We'll begin by doing the same thing, making these fractions like. Negative 2 and 20 over 24 minus 21 over 24. We're going to just have to add since they're the same sign. This will give us the absolute value of negative 2 and 41 over 24. Giving us 3 and 17/24 because absolute value is always non-negative. And we can always divide to see how we arrived at this answer. If you are still having trouble, please watch the lesson on subtracting rationals with negatives. The link is in the description.